is a nation without representation? What is a nation without representation? I'm the 5%, the 10% amazing. All praise to Allah, and that's a blessing. All praise to Allah, and that's a blessing.
Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, people? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome to the Rreal 360 show. Yo, Ja, go ahead and unmute yourself, man. This is the God, KY Allah, co-host. And my man, Ja, got my host right there, Josh Allah. Josh Shamel Allah, part self guard. And we got some very special guests who I'm not going to introduce. I'm going to let my man take the flavor and go on with about yourself. So peace to the gods and earths and everybody, all the human families of the planet Earth. Josh Shamel, go ahead and take it away, God.
Yo, peace. I want to welcome all our followers, all our listeners, all our viewers to this very impactful show today. We have two members of a legendary hip-hop group, you know what I'm saying, straight out of Lord's Island, Long Island Sound, bring you that heat, you know what I'm saying, from the leaders of the new school. We have Milo in the dance and Johnny Juice in the building. You know, yes. We want to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, we represent these individuals to the highest form. You know, we want them to show the people and give the people and let the people know that they're still here. They still giving that Long Island sound. They still giving that raw hip hop up. And they're going to be speaking about their journey from the very beginning until and where they at today. So right now, I want to get a chance to introduce themselves. Milo, you know, if you don't mind, we start first and give them a little bit of your history.
Peace, God. How's everything, man?
Everything is great, God. How you?
What it do, man? Thank you for the opportunity, Lord. I'm Milo in the dance, also known as Cut Milo the Milo, from Leaders of the New School. Yes, sir. Long Island, New York. Here with my brother Johnny Juice. Very impactful situation about to go down, bro.
Yo, man, it's definitely exciting to have y'all. You know, Johnny Juice got major history. Right, we're talking about he got major history. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with PE, you know what I'm saying? Of course, working with Bomb Squad and things of that nature. Not just, you know what I'm saying, leaders of the new school. So
that's
it is an honor and a pleasure to have Johnny Juice on our show today. So Johnny Juice, could you please introduce yourself and let them know a little bit about you?
Peace, God. My name is Johnny Juice, originally from the Bronx, transplanted to Strong Island in the 80s, hooked up with my legendary younger brother Busta Rhymes when he was a b-boy, trying to be part of my b-boy crew, actually. He was still in elementary school, him and his little brother Shakim. So peace to Shakim. So they begged me to be part of my b-boy crew. So I ended up putting them down, and eventually the b-boy crew turned into an MC crew, and I ended up hooking up with C Boogie Brown, Charlie Brown, who was the brother of my DJ partner Hig. So shout out to DJ Hig.
Yeah, big Hig.
So we formed the crew initially. It was me, Hig, and me, Brown, and Bus. Brown was KBMC. Busta Rhymes was Chillowski.
Yes, sir.
That was the original crew, actually.
And at that time, I was Cool Ski. We all had a ski back in the day, bro.
I was always Johnny Juice, though. That never changed. So we kept on doing our thing until eventually Chuck and those cats were looking for MCs and DJs to put on. They were still called Spectrum City at the time.
Yes.
And they had a battle. And the battle was right above Eric Sadler from the Bomb Squad had a rehearsal studio underneath their spot. And Eric Sadler was good friends with Brown's brother Hig. So Eric called Hig and was like, yo, they're having a battle up here. Tell your brother and his boys so they can come out, and get down. Mm-hmm. So I was in the Bronx visiting my grandmother. And Buster was in Brooklyn with his pops. That was his weekend with his pops. So
rest in peace, Uncle Trevor.
Rest in peace, Uncle Trevor, exactly. So Brown hit me up like a million times on the phone. This is before cell phones and all that. So, you know, it was answering machine style, little cassettes. It was like, yo, you missed out on this opportunity. You got to come on. What's up? So Brown's mom's big shout out to Maggie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's up, Ma?
She came and picked us up. You know, we had no rides. We were still, you know, youngins. And she drove us up to 510, and there was a line around the block.
Okay.
So I thought we were going to battle as a crew, but that's not what happened. So we picked up my boy Daquan, you know, peace to the God. And
Yeah,
he was
gonna
gonna do Buster's parts. You know what I'm saying? We had whole routines planned and everything. But that's not what it was. So all the DJs had to battle each other and all the MCs had to battle each other. So I won the DJ battle.
Right.
And Chuck called me that the next week and was like, "Yo, you won." He put me with and they created a crew called the Kings of Pressure. So that was
sir.
that was
You know how to reach us.
right. So when he did that, I noticed he had logos and names of groups because Chuck was a graphic designer, he's a graphic artist.
Right.
He has a degree in graphic arts. So he designed these logos and these names with Hank Shockley, so that they could populate these groups with people that they were put on. And one of the groups was Leaders of the New School. But they didn't have any
on the
members.
board.
Right, on the board. So I kept on bringing Brown with me every week to the meetings, and Chuck was like, "Yo, you gotta stop bringing your boy." I'm like, "Yeah, but he's my boy." And they're like, "But he didn't win." So you know, I'm like, "But yo, you know, come on, man." So he would go downstairs and hang at Eric Sadler's spot with
Paul Shabazz.
Paul Shabazz,
That's right.
Eric Sadler, and they would go down there and they would mess around. Eventually, Chuck heard it and put them on too. And they brought in Dinko, because Dinko was down with them by this time. And they had different DJs that were coming in and out. That DJ Will, then this other dude, you know, they had a bunch of cats. Eventually, Milo, who happens to be Buster's cousin, got down with the crew as
well, Juice. Pardon, let me just interject.
I know you produced PTA. I think that's the story, right?
Yeah, I was downstairs with Paul Shabazz. I was getting my own studio time because remember I was coming from Amityville.
Right, Amityville, yep.
So actually, Case of the PTA was a joint called Loose Judy.
Right.
That I did with Jamal Coleman. That's Larry Blackman's son from Cameo. Right. So we had this joint, and Larry wasn't really too into the hip hop thing, and he kind of threatened his son, saying, "If you don't do this music thing with me, it ain't gonna happen." Right. So we had a situation. He said something about blackballing. We had a situation. We was about to meet with somebody, trying to move forward in the situation, and he got on a bus and went down south to be with his dad. So now here I am with this joint. I wiped the vocals. Bus came downstairs to check me. And they heard it. He went back upstairs. Then they came downstairs and was like, "Yo, we need this beat." So that's how my introduction to Leaders of the New School was, because I was in the same building, but I was downstairs. I wasn't upstairs with Chuck and the Bomb Squad and all of that. That came after.
Huh? Right. Yeah, you was at Shabazz's studio. Right.
Correct.
But before that, it was called Cassad Studios.
Cassad. All right.
It was Carlos Cassius and Cassad. Right. So yeah, so you came in after I dipped already.
Right. Correct.
So I knew who it was because I knew Bus. I knew the family.
Right.
And it was all good. But the way that played out, it played out perfectly because you and Bus are cousins.
Correct.
You started out as a DJ for them, but to be honest with you, you were signed as an artist, so you decided
That's exactly what happened. That's why I did it that way. Correct. Yeah. So
and the world is a better place because of it, because your vocals is heat, man.
So thank you very much, sir. Word.
Yeah, definitely.
So we made the PTA situation happen. And where was we performing again, Juice? On Uniondale Avenue. I think it was like a church. What was the name of that? It was a talent show over there.
Yeah, it's I forget the name of it because it's not called that anymore. It
Okay.
was a church.
Right. Okay. So we performed, and how I understand it, some business cards was left around for Dante Ross, and
Yep.
somebody got in
The
contact.
Scrub.
Yeah, the Scrub. Somebody got in contact with Brown and informed him of the interest, and we went to meet. We had a couple songs. We did the PTA thing. Came back. You know, they liked what they heard, and we moved forward. We moved forward into a deal in 1989. Yeah. So
Now, hold on one second, Mello. Hold on one second, Mello. When it came to the name of leaders, it's always been rumored that it was a battle for that name.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It
sir.
was always
I was talking.
that it was a
I was
battle.
talking to your partner about that before we started. So there was a list that I made reference to when Juice was speaking, and it had a bunch of names on the clipboard. It was Son of Berserk, Leaders of the New School, Young Black Teenagers.
Now they weren't young black teenagers yet. It was the terminal illness crew.
Terminal, okay.
It was terminal illness crew. That was supposed to be the first white rap group. This is before the Beastie Boys.
Right. Okay.
To be honest with you, I mean, I can't verify this, but Chuck and them guys, they were signed in '86 to Def Jam, so it's quite possible Chuck and Hank, because Hank was real good at talking. That's pretty much his only talent. So he's probably running his mouth about all these groups he had, because he got people. Listen, he got groups signed with no memos, no nothing, man. Like he would really. So I don't know if this is true. I'm pretty sure he ran up in Def Jam talking about how he got this white boy crew, terminal illness crew, which didn't exist at the time, but he would say it. And I'm pretty sure that Rick and them dudes were like, yo, we should make a white boy crew. I'm not saying that's what happened. It's possible.
But it's lots.
Yeah, I ended up doing some scratching on some of the Beastie Boys stuff, so I ain't hating on. I think they're extremely talented. But Rick was dope. I worked with Rick, you know what I'm saying? So early Rick, you know what I mean? But Hank's thing was running up in the labels, basically just telling them all this great stuff that was happening that didn't actually happen yet. But he would convince you that it did, so that you would sign him. Basically, he was faking it till he made it. So
he born that into existence.
Yep. So the groups, terminal illness crew ended up going away, and it became later Young Black Teenagers.
Right.
There was a Son of Berserk and the Hell Raiders. They ended up becoming Son of Berserk and No Self Control. There was the Kings of Pressure, it was Leaders of the New School. And Leaders of the New School logo looked like Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's that was fun. So they ended up changing that, obviously, when Brown and the guys dipped out of Hank's camp and did their own thing. So there was a lot of changes. There was other groups too. There was True Mathematics and Invisible Empire became True Mathematics. There was Robert S. from Detroit who became Hellraiser. And Hank and them also had a management company called Rhythm Method Enterprises. And they ended up managing Joeski Love, the Jungle Brothers, Red Alert. They had mad people under their management. So they all got screwed, but that's another story. So in any case, that whole situation, they were trying to build an empire because, in all honesty, Public Enemy only had a 2-year plan. They had no plan on making records after 2 years.
Right.
Chuck and those guys were interested in strictly radio because they were doing college radio at Adelphi.
Right.
We got the Gray in the operating room and those cats. So the point is, get our radio thing popping. We'll do this record thing for a minute, but really only to establish other groups, manage them, blow them up, and then feature them on our radio shows. Dr. Dre was part of it with the operating room. Dre became Original Concept with his people. Right. Def Jam. So then it became, they were doing MTV Raps about to. It wasn't out yet. So Chuck was like, y'all guys got TV. We manage the artists that do radio. We do the radio. Then we're going to take over media. Okay. But then a funny thing happened. Public Enemy blew up.
Yeah, I remember Kings of Pressure a little bit. Definitely Spectrum, because Spectrum used to do all the Roosevelt days and in different events through LI. So definitely remember them. Remember when they was on BAU with Rico and all of them, and Dre used to watch Flav and them come through the hood all the time.
Right.
But
yeah.
when Leaders came out, I think that was one of the first videos in the hood that was taken in the hood.
It's to the PTA.
And because, you know, a lot of times artists, they were doing a lot of videos either in Queens or in Brooklyn or somewhere else other than in our area. So when Leaders came out, you know what I'm saying, like with Sob Story, PTA, that was right there in the home vicinity. So it was major for all of us.
Actually, though, Case of the PTA was shot in Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that football field was at Uniondale High. That's what I thought.
We shot that in Jersey. We bust the people out there.
Oh, okay.
Was the Sob Story done in Uniondale?
Yes. Yeah, that was in the hood.
Sob Story was done in Uniondale. Even which video was the one where you're in Brown's backyard?
That was Sob Story.
It was Dinko's backyard.
It was Dinko's backyard. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, Dinko's backyard. You're right.
Sob Story.
Sob Story. Right.
Right. So now, coming from, you know, the era, like, cause y'all, like you said, y'all formed in '89 and gradually progressed.
Well, professionally, we signed in '89.
Yeah, professionally signed in '89, and progressively moving through the '90s. How was like the transition, and you saw how the music started changing because you know the elements of hip hop in the '80s and '90s, you start getting the different elements of hip hop. So how was Leaders of the New School able to keep their sound and stay impactful during that period?
It was all about love, bro. The energy came from a place of creativity. You know, we had a lot of training from Chuck D and brothers like Johnny Juice and, you know, knowledgeable brothers. Gave us an understanding and the work ethic to be able to exist in the time of the transition. You know, Chuck used to make us do things like run the track, singing your verses. You understand? To build up the wind, to be able to have that stamina on stage. Right. You know, to my knowledge, I didn't know of any other brothers that was taking it that seriously in that way. You know, like we had a different understanding of how to introduce ourselves to this world as leaders of the new school.
Right. Keep in mind, Brown had, Chuck had these classes every Monday night.
That too, right.
So what happened was, as soon as he picked you to be in a group or whatever,
it was like going to school.
You were up there every Monday night, and they would have a blackboard, the whole thing, just like school. And he would be like, "Yo, listen, come back next week with 5 cadences,
right?
Not rhymes, cadences,
right?
Come back with 10 titles." And the themes as to what the titles mean, and then give me one album title that ties all those record titles together. He would do this stuff, and you know what? Most of the time, he didn't come back with a lot of stuff or everything done, but it was enough for him to be like, you see. And then of course there were questions asked, why do we need it? Why blah blah blah? And he was like, and then he would give you the answer. You know, Chuck. Keep in mind, Chuck was 10 years older than all.
Correct.
So while we were in high school, you know, Chuck was already a grown man working for an art firm, and he was like, I don't need to rhyme for a living. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The whole first and half of the second album, Chuck still had his day job.
Okay.
Chuck had to make a serious decision to say, yo, all right, I'm gonna do this full time.
Right.
You know, so Chuck was like, yo, if I'm gonna do this full time, I gotta treat this like it's a real job. So, and when he saw cats like Milo, Buster, Brown, Dink, me, whoever, he would train us, man. And it's like, I want to see who's serious.
Right.
If you weren't serious, you weren't coming back, you know?
Right. Right.
And the leaders were serious, you know what I'm saying? And out of the people that from the Kings of Pressure, I was probably the most serious at the time, which is why Chuck introduced me into working with all the groups and made me a member of the Bomb Squad. Well, it was before there was a Bomb Squad. We weren't called that yet. But he's like, yo, we're going to create a production company too. Yo, Chuck and them dudes were smart, man. They were creating mini entities.
Right.
And it's a no-brainer to see why Leaders was able to continue innovating, because aside from just them being creative brothers, man, they were trained, man. They were trained to follow a template,
A
to
structure.
success.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So, you know,
You know what the wild thing is, Juice?
yeah, what's up?
You remember what the context was of the battle that Leaders had to win the name Leaders of the New School?
Yeah, man.
It was
You and the young black teenager cats
had to
had to
write
write a song,
called
and
"Fuck the Old School."
right, and
Right.
whoever won it,
Mhm.
whoever had the better song was gonna
Right.
be Leaders of the New School. So
Correct.
you already know who won.
Right. So but we never released that. That wasn't the
Right.
intention. We wanted to
Right.
see
It wasn't
who
the
had the
intention.
heart to do
Right.
something like that. You understand?
Yeah.
So that was
You
a
got
crazy
the original
situation.
copy?
Excuse me?
You still got the original copy?
I personally don't. That ain't supposed to surface, bro. That was more of a test.
Yeah.
I really hope that doesn't come out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, because that wasn't our intention. That was our instruction.
Right.
Different. You know?
So that's an example of one of the one of the tasks that Chuck and Hank and them would get. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Correct.
And we had tasks as members of the bomb squad too. You know,
Mhm.
I remember them giving me a crate of records. We had multiple walls of records up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my man EJ, the DJ, would share space with Chuck and them. And he had his own wall of records that we'd raid. You know, I joke with EJ. I'm like, yo, we put the records back, bro. I swear.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but Chuck would give me a crate of records. Like, that's all you could use to write these joints.
Right. Okay.
So it's like, we had to get good with taking mad little pieces of stuff. But
Mhm.
Chuck also was very specific about us tailoring the songs, the music to the artists that we were working with.
Correct.
So we didn't just write beats generically and then just give them away. It didn't work that way.
Right.
We wrote a joint for this group
Correct.
specifically. And and we did it, because we knew the character of the artists, we knew the tone of their voices, we knew what frequencies would work with them. We knew, this was a science, man. This was a science. This wasn't just, let's just do things. And to us as kids, we might have felt we just doing things, but this was guided,
Correct.
And
reflecting back, you see how all of that played a major part in the situation. It's definitely, sometimes in the moment, like you just said, Juice, you don't really understand the level of intensity of what's happening, but you start to apply these things subconsciously, and it becomes a part of you. The instruction becomes a part of you. Do you remember how Clamp went?
Yes, concept, lyrics, attitude, music, and performance.
Correct.
Clamp.
They Clamp.
So if you have all 5 of those, you could become a great artist.
Absolutely.
Concept, lyrics, attitude, music, performance.
That was drilled into our head from the beginning.
I want to touch on some of that.
What's up?
With the lyrics, were y'all helping each other, or did y'all pen any lyrics for other MCs that was around?
Yeah, well, on the most part, everybody you heard wrote their own material. Right. And I remember we did some stuff for Nikki D, Sunny Days, and what was the other one, Juice? You remember?
Nah, I don't remember. I know you did a couple.
Yeah, we did a couple.
They did a couple for Slick Rick too.
Yeah, and we put down the reference tracks, and then they came in and did what they did. Word. Yeah, those are the two that I remember at this point.
Right. Now, with your stage presence and performances, how were you able to just get your concept and the crowd's attention through the whole show? Like, what was your preparation for your stage presence alone? How do you keep the crowd into?
Call and response at that time, and genuine energy. That was how that started, was a reaction to how the music made us feel.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, when we came out, the movements and the structure became what was known as East Coast Stomp.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that influenced the industry in a major way. Because at one point, after PTA,
everybody was doing that shit.
yeah,
Naughty by Nature was doing it.
word.
Girls
You could
did
see
it.
it
You name it.
in exactly. It was a reflection of the times.
Shaq
'Cause it
did
was
that
changing.
in the videos of the Fushnikins. I'm like,
Yeah,
you got Shaquille O'Neal doing the
Fushnik-
East Coast Stomp, yo.
correct. Correct. Because we were transitioning too from solo MCs at that point into group situations, if y'all recall.
Right.
So, you know, it was definitely brand new. Not really brand new because they had groups, of course, prior to us, but in the phase of where we were,
Mm-hmm.
we were kind of bringing it back to that. You
Right.
know, like Cold Crush. Major influence.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely hear that in our music.
Right.
The call and response, the routines, you know.
Shout out to the Cold Crush.
Yes, shout out.
Big up my brother Cass, JDL, KG,
Tone.
D, Tony Tone, and Charlie
Yeah.
Chase, man. All my
Yes,
brothers,
sir.
man.
Well, Funky 4 plus 1 more. You know, it was groups like that we used to listen to, staying up late night, because they used to come up on the radio, and that was our only connection to that kind of music here on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know how it is, man. The resources was limited then,
Right.
as to how you would hear it. Everything you had to be there, or you know, we would do pause tapes back in the days. Stay up when they start talking, take the voices out, you know, call each other, yo, you got that? Come to school the next day, like you the shit, you know?
Yeah,
And you
because I
study
remember
those things, man, and it becomes a part of you.
I remember the late night college radio stations.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
We used to
Correct.
call the pirate radio stations back in the day.
Yes,
You had to be
yes,
up 1,
yes.
2 o'clock in the morning to catch that hip hop. You know,
Right.
every now
And
and
make
again.
tapes.
Yeah, definitely get the tapes.
Word.
Then you know, either that or you wait on Mr. Magic to shut up on Friday, or
Right,
you know what I'm saying, or Red Alert to you know what I'm saying, to stop yeeting and you know what I mean, on the record so you can get the tape.
Right.
You know, it was BAU, and then also when
RH2, RH2, right, Lord?
Huh?
RHU.
Yeah,
WRHU, right.
Yeah, you know, back then. So you would definitely have to stay up late for that.
Right.
You know, leaders used to answer phones at WRHU.
Yes, yes.
Big shout out to Jeff Force, who passed away in 2018. Jeff Force would do his P5 show.
Shout out to Father Troop.
Father Troop would be Father Troop was in the Navy, and he used to do phone systems. So he jury rigged the setup to have multiple phones.
Yeah.
So he bought in a whole bunch of handsets. I'm like, what you doing, man? I bought in turntables. I would rock. Jeff would do the mic, and we have like 5 sets of phones in the back. Brown, Dinko, everybody be up in there answering phones, going on missions, man. You know, telling chicks they're gonna see him after the show.
Right.
Here's a tip from Jeff Force, rest in peace. Yo, she sounds cute.
Rest in peace.
She's 400 pounds and she sweats a lot, man. So you gotta watch that. Other than that, you know, those were great times, and they established the camaraderie between the members, you know, because this is before leaders were signed, right?
Yes.
But they were still using the name, right? And they were doing talent shows. I even got some flyers. I gotta send you some. And throughout that time, sometimes they get on the mic and rock a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So their name was getting built up prior to being even signed to Elektra. So Long Island, even though, you know, we were the country as far as the city was concerned. And I know, I go back home to the Bronx and they're like, you went back out to the country this week? I'm like, dude, half an hour away, man. It's not that far, B. You know, but the thing is, because of that, I think Long Island cats had a chip on their shoulder.
Right.
Like, you know, really? You saying that we ain't really nice like that? So, you know, cats like leaders, Seriously Fine, who were the Choice 5 MCs prior to that.
Right.
You know, those
yeah.
dudes, big shot to Sirius. Them dudes were nasty, man.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Sirius definitely was nice. Him and K Fine too. You know, K
Yeah,
Fine.
K Fine. Big shout out to them, man.
That
So
was the Choice 5 MCs, right?
yeah, Woody Rock or Woody D.
Right.
He became Woody Rock when he signed with Uptown. So these dudes, they were nice. They could not only hang with the city cats, but they toast some of them. So they didn't get the respect. So that energy you see when the first jam came out and leaders started stomping their way through the stage, that was the years of oppressive omission from the city to the Long Island cats, saying your guys ain't really down, and them coming out saying what, we're gonna show you what down is, and that's part of that energy.
Right.
Right.
It's funny, but I think that all Long Island cats still have that chip on their shoulder to this day.
All the time.
This day, where it comes down to cats in the boroughs, you know what I'm saying, throw their nose up to us or what have you. We always gotta, you know what I'm saying, keep it on our back and keep it on our shoulder. Nothing against them brothers from the boroughs, but when you look at some of the greatest MCs in the hip hop game, you got to go to Long Island. You got the guard Rakim, you got Leaders of the New School, you got EPMD, you got Public Enemy.
Long Island permanently influenced everything. Long Island in the late 80s, early 90s literally changed everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You know what I mean? Rakim, EPMD, De La Soul, which by
De
the
La
way,
Soul.
I was just getting ready to ask that question.
I went to school with those
around
brothers.
that same time frame with De La Soul. Was that what would you say, Milo, was y'all biggest competition as far as on the Long Island scene? Which group coming up around the same time when y'all was out? Would you say was y'all most biggest competition?
Well, at that time, we was more focusing on developing what you now know as Leaders of the New School. And, I didn't really look at it as me against you. What we were offering was Long Island music. You understand? With the influences of our individual cultures. What you say, Jules?
There was no competition, man. You know why? It's not a better or worse thing.
Right.
Every Long Island group that came out was totally unique.
And that's what hip hop is missing.
De La wasn't stepping on the toes of Leaders.
No, we had our own lane.
Anything like them. But De La preceded Leaders. I remember because I was the first dude to play their record on the radio. I remember Mason brought it up to me, and I'm like, and I played plug tuning, and I'm like, what the hell is this shit? It didn't sound like anything that was out. They're rhyming in limericks. I'm like, they're rhyming like limericks. I mean, I'm like, yo, it didn't even make any sense. I'm like, nobody sounds like this. And I knew Prince Paul from Stet. So
he's also from Amityville.
Right, he's from Amityville too, right? So I'm like, yo, man, what do you compare it to? When Rakim came out, who do you compare him to?
Right.
When Chuck came out, who do you compare him to?
Right.
So when Leaders came out, who do you compare them to? The only person you can or group you can compare them to is somebody like the Fantastic Five Romantics or somebody like the Cold Crush Brothers. But that's from a different generation. So there was no competition. And that's what made the golden era so dope. Nobody infringed upon the next group's ability to get busy.
No, and when you would go to a show, you would get variety.
Exactly. Now you got a whole bunch of clones running around doing the same, the same thing, hoping that that's going to get them signed to something like that, under the false premise that this is what the labels are looking for. But the labels don't know what they're looking for.
Right. But they definitely have a major influence.
Of course. But it's usually after the fact. After you get signed, after you're already there, then they say, yo, we just had success 2 minutes ago with this dude. Can he do something like that? Correct.
There was a lot of that.
Okay.
Well, we stayed true to ourselves though.
Like the song, the scenario, the remix, was crazy, right?
Okay.
The remix was crazy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The remix was crazy.
That's what's up.
When you hear Leaders rhyme with other groups, you can always tell, you know what I'm saying, they stand out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Charlie verse, your verse, Dink verse, of course, Bus verse, you know what I mean? It always stood out, whereas, you know what I'm saying, the check it at, you know what I mean, just the whole vibe, whereas you can the difference and feel the different vibe and tell that y'all was above, you know what I'm saying, where individuals thought you was. You know what I mean?
Correct. Okay.
Everybody was like, well, you know, this is a tribe. But when y'all got on the song, we was kind of taken over by Bleep. You know, so how was networking with Tribe Called Quest, and I know that y'all used to run around with, like, I think Naughty at the time, where it was a whole lot of collaboration during that period of time.
Naughty, dope group. You know, we have a lot of fun touring. Been on the road we went out with PE, and we did all the arenas across the country. Like we stopped at the Garden, we did the Superdomes and the, you know,
Philly Spectrum.
Yeah, correct. And Latifah, peace, shout out to Latifah, Naughty by Nature. Who? Y'all froze.
Yeah, man.
Say that again, Lord.
Froze. Yo, your boy, man, Apache, man, rest in peace.
Yeah, I was getting to that, but I thought you were saying something. Also Apache, which I don't know if you guys remember Collyweed, but that's like my brother. And he appeared on our album. We did a song with Apache called Hey Girl, which was on the other side. It was like a double single of Gangsta Bitch.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And that was, you know, that was an experience. If you didn't see that video, go check it. It's called Hey Girl.
Hey Girl, yep.
Yep, Hey Girl. Definitely dope, man. You know, just to be connected with the Jersey brothers, that was a whole different vibe within itself. You know, every area has their own energy, you know? So, you know, when you start blending and mixing, what happens is the networking brings out different vibes. Like the energy that we were doing on Long Island was very different when I went and did the joint with Apache, being in the studio with him. You know, it was definitely a dope situation. You know, Nikki D, Lady of Rage. You know, they was around when we were working out of where? Chungking, right? And, you know, we used to just try to influence each other to be great. You know, it wasn't really like, you know, I'm scheming on you, but it was more of an encouraging situation. And then being a part of the native tongue, that's how the Scenario situation even came by. Actually, Scenario had a lot more people in the beginning. So
I got the tape.
It was you got it? You need to send that to me. So rest in peace to Chris Lighty. He was on the joint.
He was on it. He rhymed on it.
Yeah, he was on the joint. Daylight was on the joint.
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep was on the joint. Who else?
Yeah, so it was Paz and Mace because Dove wasn't on. It was Long and Drez.
Right.
Maybe Chris Lighty did a verse.
Yes, he did.
All you guys was on it. The only one that ain't on that one joint I got was Tip.
Oh, okay, the version you got.
Yeah, I got two versions with different vocalists on them.
I remember that.
Before the original. And and I remember because I got pictures of the session. I remember I got pictures of it. Bus was sitting on the board, and when Paz did his verse, Paz didn't like the beat. So when he did the verse, Paz was like, take all the samples off and just leave the Jimi Hendrix drums. And when he was done, everybody went back and rewrote their rhymes. it was like, yo. And Paz didn't even like the joint, man. He made everybody go rewrite their joints, man. Yeah. So that's how stupid it was. I even remember all the rhymes, all of them. I was there, it was the winner, and it was nuts. And Jerobi was there too. Jerobi was
Yes, he was. Shout out to Jerobi.
Geronimo was there too, but he didn't rhyme. Right. And my boy Rivo, who passed away, he was there too.
Geronimo was a dancer for Leaders of the New School, and he was in a group called Rumpletilskins.
Yeah.
LS. Yeah.
Remedy Man, Chanel,
Shout now. Word.
and
Yeah,
RPM.
RPM. Right.
RPM was there too. RPM was at the session.
Yeah.
So
We was all running together though. You know,
right.
that was the whole point of New School Society. You know, we brought a lot of Long Island talent together and tried to bring them with us. You understand? That's why we did songs like Spontaneous. You know,
Yeah.
right.
Shout out to Sam Sever on the beat.
Sam Sever, that's right. That's that cool brother. Cool.
Right.
Word.
How did the
Just so
native
you know, you mentioned Naughty
What's-
by Nature. You know they were called the New Style at that before they were called Naughty by Nature. Right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Hey, Juice and Milo,
Yes, sir.
how was the native tongue actually formed? Because I know it was multiple groups. And how did y'all go under that one umbrella at the time of native tongue?
All right, take that one, Juice.
That started actually when Red Alert put on his nephew and created the Jungle Brothers.
Okay.
So they did the Straight Out the Jungle album, and then De La was getting a lot of love at the time, and Tip, who was a Zulu Nation member as well. Shout out to all my Zulus. Salute. I'm also a Zulu Nation member, longtime Zulu Nation member. So that whole Zulu thing, you know, brought about the Afrocentricity. Obviously, Red is Zulu. You know what I'm saying? Jungle Brothers is Zulu. You know, so the whole Zulu thing is really what started the native tongues thing. But then we noticed. Hold up, I froze.
We can hear you though, Lord.
Yeah, I froze. Like, the whole Zulu thing really started the native tongues, that connection, and other groups that started coming out at that time that had content that was not necessarily in alignment with the other real street stuff, started being looked at a little differently. You know, it was like almost like alternative rap. Cats like De La Soul and cats like
Right.
Black, you know that. So, you know, Red was brilliant. You know, decided to put that under that umbrella, and leaders fit. You know,
Correct.
did a theme album. They didn't necessarily talk about, you know, beating somebody's ass or drugs or something. You know, and if they did it in a way that it kind of meshed with the theme of the album. You know, so
Right.
it was a broader theme
Right.
to everything. So that's how the Native Tongues thing kind of started. But it became an extended thing too, because, you know, eventually cats like the Fushnikins,
right,
and those people were included. But I think really that only happened because, you know, no disrespect to the Fushnikins, but
Juice froze.
Okay, you'll be back. What's going on, Lord?
Yeah. Now, you know, it's crazy when we talk about how the influence of
Okay, here you go.
He back.
Oh yeah.
Yo, you froze.
Yeah, froze for a second.
Reiterate that real quick.
Yeah. So I keep freezing, man.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, at the time, after the Afrocentricity movement happened and it started getting real popular, you know, the Africa medallions, African medallions, you know, medallions, and everybody's wearing the big Africa shirts. Remember the African American College Alliance shirts? You know, everybody started doing that, and in the process of doing that, they kind of almost started to slide into the whole, you know, this is the native tongue movement thing. And it coincided with the Cosby Show. It coincided with It's a Different World. That whole thing didn't exist in a bubble, right? So this is the reason why Public Enemy became successful. It became successful because of Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby made it cool to be a smart black man.
Right.
You know, had that not occurred, had that not saturated media, because Bill Cosby was a media giant in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, the Cosby Show was the biggest show on TV, spun off a different world. This dude became the man. People started wearing AACA shirts and sweaters. You know, FUBU came, it was like, yo, man, being black was like not only cool, but being a smart black man that wasn't just a stereotype was cool.
Correct.
And that allowed the alternative rap market to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made PE work. And that's what made the native tongues work. And that
Mhm.
all became like some huge network of, yo, we could be smart black men that talk about smart things and don't necessarily have to talk about guns and violence. Then you have speech for arrested development. Those cats, you can
Right.
do that now. And that's what made the native tongues something other than just a whole bunch of cats that just rhymed about weird,
Right.
stuff. As far as
Right.
black people are concerned, it's like, who rhymes about that shit? They
Right.
did, but it became not only dope, but it became like cool. You almost wanted to be a part of that,
Right.
and it was like people were vying for spaces, trying to be part
Because
of
the power is in numbers, Juice.
right, man. They were like, yo, I need to be down with that.
Right.
And the thing is, the theme was the groups were irrelevant, honestly.
Right. Right.
What was relevant was the connection to your blackness.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So that
Right.
made every fan feel like they were a part of Native Tongues.
Right.
Because as long as you was connected to your blackness,
Mhm.
you was a Native Tongue member. As long as, just like Public Enemy. Public Enemy wasn't Flavor and Chuck. Public Enemy was all of y'all.
Right.
They just represented you.
Mhm.
Right.
So with the connection to the blackness, so a lot of individuals in different groups were what they would call conscious back in the days, and
Right.
so it was like a lot of some cats that was 5%, a lot of cats that was Zulu Nation, a lot of cats that was RBG, that was associated with the native tongue.
Right.
So
Yeah. King Sun, you had King Sun was doing, he was representing for the gods and earths. Obviously Rakim and
Right.
infused everything with the lessons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was dope because how many people walk around and say peace now because of that?
right.
Ain't nobody was saying that really. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Rakim made everybody like, made people familiar with the nation of gods and earths in a way that would have never been done.
Right.
He didn't do that.
Right.
Because he didn't just split it as a lesson. He actually spit you lessons, man. Like if you was a lay person and didn't have to know anything. When you were done, you understood. Because mathematics is universal, man, and he was able to transpose that across multiple genres and multiple types of people, man.
Right.
And that's one thing that I loved about the music of that era, of our era, is that it gave you some content. It made you think. When you was on the mic,
it made you feel better about yourself.
Right. And it was empowering. When you heard an MC on the mic, he gave you thought-provoking lyrics like, yo, did you hear them bars? Did you hear this? Or whatever the case may be at that point. But how do you see the lyrics today and the content of everybody sounding the same today when you come from an era of originality? How do you see that when in the business have all became like one individual from everyone just being an individual on their own?
Well, my perspective on the situation was going back to Juice and you speaking on how the lessons influenced hip hop and how it made you have a certain level of pride being Black that we were stripped of many years. And I'll just make reference to, without getting too political, but when things happened during that time where there was a lot of conscious music, people of color would react to certain things, wouldn't stand for it because we had pride for ourselves, right? When the transition of music happened and the influence of, the word nigga and, promoting Black in a negative way, we started to digest that. It became more like, they have movies like Shaft and, glorifying the wrong side of the Black consciousness. And I just feel like, the labels and media and the powers that be, however you want to say it, it was a form of control and keeping us limited in growth. So they shift the energy and try to influence you in a way to be a part of that narrative. It's not easy for a lot of artists to stand their ground when they become uncertain about their success if they do certain things. So go back, we coming back forward now. In this era with less consciousness, less Black pride, as far as represented in music, like we don't have, they're still here, but they're not like the ones you hear on the radio right now. What's happening is like things like George Floyd, other situations, the reaction is different because the music is different. That's how we get a lot of our information, through the music and how it's presented. And when the narrative changed was the beginning of this version of hip hop. Because now it's all about glorifying popping pills and doing drugs and, taking advantage of women and, just putting forward the wrong things. Poor righteous teachers and brothers like that used to give you stuff to think about. Do you understand? I think that's missing,
There's still cats out there.
Excuse me?
There's still cats out there. You got.
That's what I said, but
I mean, the thing. Unfortunately, they're just not on the radio. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because they're not part of the agenda. Is what I'm trying to say.
Too much white noise, man.
Right.
What happens is now that people could put music directly to the world, they could
correct
live. Now you got an influx of 1 billion songs that are whack. See, now, as much as people hate record labels, the one thing they got right was they were a perfect filter.
They were the doorkeepers.
Right. If you weren't dope enough to at least get in the door, you would just flounder on the outer edges of nothing. Now everyone gets in the door because the internet is the door.
Right.
So
making songs in their living room and going straight to the public with no guidance.
The filter are the fans, and the fans are lazy. What fan is going to sit there filtering through billions of songs? You know what they'll do? I'll just find the next Cardi B record. I know that one's hot.
Right.
Because they're lazy. The fans are lazy. And it's not just fans. People are lazy.
I also think that it has a lot to do with the attention span.
Of course.
You understand? Because
we have no attention spans.
What happened, God?
We have no attention spans. Ask MTV conditioned us to that.
Right. Yo, I'll tell you, it's crazy that this time done flew by. We got like 3-4 minutes left. And it's crazy because I wanted to try to make sure that y'all put out to the people what y'all got coming out today. Juice, what you got popping today? Johnny Juice, what you got popping today? So people can definitely check it out from you, yourself, and Milo, what you got popping today so they can check it out.
I'm gonna do mine first so you can remember Milo's more. I just did an album with the legendary group Mandrill. That'll be released soon. I got my own album called "You Must Be Just Don't Know Who I Is" by my group The Odyssey.
The Odyssey, shout outs.
Right, Milo's gonna lay a vocal actually to one of the joints soon. But Brown and Dinko are also on the album, as well as my boy Cool Kim from the UMCs. I'm working with DMC from Run DMC.
Chuck D's on the album.
Chuck D's on the album too. I did it, and DMC.
DMC too.
I have a rock band with DMC right now that I'm producing, as well as I'm a member of. We call Resonant Alien. The band is stupid. It's stupid. I'm also doing.
Shout out to Double B.
Yeah. So, and I'm also scoring 2 movies.
Okay.
Oh wow.
All right, good.
All right. So, tell them what you're doing, Milo, because your stuff is more exciting.
Well, as far as musically, I'm currently gonna work with Johnny Juice and the God Laquan.
Yeah, peace to my brother
Bill
Laquan.
Biggs. You know what I mean? That's my brother. And we're gonna I got a lot of music, man. I just gotta put it together and formulate what I'm trying to do, put it forward in the best light that it could be, you know. And currently, I'm gonna work on new music with my brother right here, and just kind of give the people what they want. You know, it's been a while since people heard anything from me. That doesn't mean I'm not working. You know, sometimes life gets in the way and you got to make choices. So, you know, I have a passion and love for the music. That's a part of me. But I also deal in reality, you know. So that's coming. My brother, Laquan, he's got Home of the Beat Battles. It's called Bill Biggs BeatBattles.com.
Yeah.
And basically what that is, you know, is that we're grooming young producers and showing them a way out. You know, getting a lot of them back in school, you know, taking their craft seriously. And you know, trying to give back, man. You know, so we're dealing with that. You know, open a new thing. And we're gonna move forward. I also got the Leaders of the New School shirts. I got Thornhawk Camp. You understand? That's the situation. So this is about and it says Thornhawk Camp on the bottom. So you know, you'll get familiar with that name because it's coming. I got some features. I did a joint with Brown on there. He came. Dinko did some work. Nat Nathanson is actually my wife's cousin, and you know, he's nice. He's on it. You know, we putting it together, man.
So where can they get your merch? Where can they get your music? What platforms could they?
Well, I'm currently in the process of developing a website. So as soon as that is done, I will definitely get that out there. But right now, you can hit me on Facebook at Milo Dapper. Same thing at Instagram, Milo Dapper. You know, so hit me up if you're interested in any of the shirts. You know, and I'll get it to you.
Okay, definitely. Juice, you got any merch, anything that you want to get out to the people, and links that they can get for the music?
Now, you can go to the Odyssey.com, the Odyssey, which is ODDYSY.com. We got shirts, we got vinyl of our single, the Video of the Year award winning Bang Bang with the Odyssey featuring Chuck D. We won Video of the Award and Best Alternative Video for that last summer. So that's on there, limited edition vinyl.
That's the red joints, right?
Red joints, yeah.
Right,
so
right.
I have more stuff on there as we speak. I'm also developing a lot of things like USB flash drives and a lot of tech stuff. As I'm an engineer, so you know, Odyssey.com. Go there, check it out, and you know, that's all I got.
All right. Yo, I want to shout out, you know what I'm saying, I5 Design, you know what I'm saying, for being a supporter of our show. Also, want to shout out my brother Laquan, since you definitely put my man on.
Yes. That's my brother.
With me and Laquan and Sandbox Babies. You know what I'm saying? He's peanut butter and jelly with sand in them. And you know, and I want to thank y'all for coming on Real to Real 360. It was definitely informative, you know what I'm saying, definitely impactful. Hopefully we can get y'all to come back, you know, once our music and everything stops, so we can definitely promote it. When you get something, make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you shoot it to KY so he can put it on his show that he has during the week.
Right.
Because during the week,
also shoot it to you as well, brother.
Indeed, definitely shoot it to me. You know, because KK got the drive home, you know what I'm saying, when Cass is getting off work, they listen to the mighty KY. So, you know what I mean? So all music, any way that we could support you right here on Real to Real 360, we definitely want to do so. Right now, I want to hand it over to my co-host KYs, and I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show. And I'm glad that I got a chance to really sit down and build with y'all. Peace.
Peace, God.
Peace. It was truly a blessing moment and very insightful in life. I just got one last comment before I say something. I always thought, now Milo, I'm looking at how you got your name on here. Milo in the dance. I could have sworn I was growing up. All out here was Milo and the dance. That's
No.
all I thought it was, Milo and the dance.
Yeah, in the dance because of the West Indian influence. You know, I'm first generation in this country, so it's like patois influence. So it's in the dance. You know what I mean? Like I'm here. You know,
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen. On behalf of Livation Radio Network and Wise Man Productions, man, I just want to say peace and blessings to the gods. Thank y'all for coming. Johnny Juice, man, keep doing what you're doing, my brother. You know, there's a lot of people that's in the scene that's not in the scene doing the things. You know what I'm saying? Making things work. And it's good to always have positive brothers in that and giving that guidance, because all the influence and the knowledge that you have, man, you training those to come up so that way they continue the influence of what you've been doing from what you was taught. And it's always the same as each one teach one in their life in a positive aspect. But on that, this is the Rreal 360. I am DJ KY Zala.
What is a nation without
We are out.
representation? What is a nation without representation?
Maintain, y'all.
Peace.
All praise to Allah and His blessings.